Alright, that should be enough to get some good audio sync between my little Zoom in my pocket with my DPA and the DJI's built-in microphone. So I don't use the microphone built into the camera that's on my helmet because it's gonna sound like shit. I'm gonna start adjusting the exposure with this, the shutter speed with this manually like I do on the 360 GoPro, because I think it'll give better results. I lowered it to 30 frames a second because it's nighttime, so if I keep the shutter speed too high, then I'll have to have the ISO really high and then the video gets all grainy. So let's see how this looks. But during the daytime, I'm really doing my best to make these videos look as good as possible. Well, the earlier one I did today was not really ideal because the earlier video I did today, I think the shutter speed was set to auto, and I want to kind of I think I can make this look considerably better with some manual help. So today I wanted to discuss interesting conversation I had with my CPA. It's probably not news for anybody. I kind of like my CPA. He's a very strange dude. I met him in a weird situation, and he's a weird guy, kind of like me, which is why we've gotten along. I've been working with this guy for 12 and a half years now. He's a weird guy, but man, he's a treasure trove of fun and stories. And I was talking to him about the real estate in the city, what I'm really going to be doing with this space that I have. Am I staying here, leaving here? If I leave here, is it for a different space in New York? Is it for a space outside? Can you actually get people who live and work here to want to go somewhere else? What other places are worth going? Because he's traveling around the country and doing kind of cool stuff. And I remember this video I did last year on the main channel, I was talking about how a lot of the spaces, they really haven't gone down in price at all, and how I found this to be kind of insane. That, you have so many spaces that are still, virtually the same price that they were a year or 2 years ago in spite of everything being vacant. There's this really weird elephant in the room here that you see, and the weird elephant is that you have spaces for lease literally every single block. And we're not even talking about offices. I can only imagine what it's like for offices because you can't see them. Like with stores, you could see that there's a vacancy and that there's vacancies everywhere. It's visible to the eye. Whereas it's not necessarily visible to the eye on offices in that same way. And he said, you don't understand, I have clients, I'm not going to say who. I'm not even going to give you the industry just because I want to be as far away as possible from blowing up somebody's business. Where he said, their rent was $36,000 and they got it lowered to $10,000 or $12,000 on a 10-year lease. How's it going? And the interesting thing is that a lot of their the clients that got this renegotiated rent, it was done on an NDA. So the NDA said you cannot tell anybody what it is, or you will be forced not only to leave the premises, but also to pay out the remainder of the lease immediately. So let's say that they had a lease for, 10 years at $10,000, and let's say it just never went up. I'm just gonna make easy math figures. So like $10,000 a month for 10 years. If they let someone know what they're paying, they could be on the hook for 10 years times $10,000 a month, which is $1.2 million. And they would get kicked out of the space. But they're willing to renegotiate sometimes to 50 or 40% of the original rent, but under the condition that you not disclose it. And I think I get why this is happening, because a lot of the larger companies like the CBREs, the Newmark Knight Franks, all those, if word gets out that there's blood in the water, then the prices for everything are going to tank. So how last year, like when I was looking for a space, I found a space that's smaller than my current one. It was 1,700 square feet, maybe 15, and they said 19K. And I said, maybe I'll give you 12. And then I found my current space, which is around 12.5, and they said, you're never going to find something else, you're being unrealistic, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Again, A, I found something literally 3 blocks away that was larger and cheaper, but B, they said that it would never, you'd never find something else, it's going to go immediately, and obviously it's still there. So what's interesting here is that they're not lowering the prices publicly, but what they're doing, it seems, is lowering the prices behind closed doors and then not letting the people who had the lower prices behind closed doors tell anybody else. And they're willing to have them sign NDAs to where you get punished with having to pay out the entirety of the lease or an insane, crazy penalty that's close to the entirety of the lease, and you get kicked out if you let people know. So it really does make me curious now, because think about it. Like what a lot of people are probably doing right now is they're asking their neighbors, they're asking their friends, they're asking other people in the building, like, hey man, business is down a lot, and you're still here. Like, did they give you a break? And then they would use that information to then leverage a break for themselves. But if the person next door is not allowed to say anything, because if they say anything, they could be out $100,000 or $400,000 or $800,000. They're not, and then they're going to think, oh, well, great. I guess I can't ask for a discount then. Damn it. And here's what I kind of hope happens. And this is, perhaps me being a piece of shit. What I hope happens is I hope it actually backfires. I want to see it backfire. What I want to see happen is I want to see them, the tenants say, listen, I thought I could have negotiated with my landlord, but I guess if my co-tenants, my next door neighbors, none of them were able to renegotiate, why bother? I give up, mea culpa. I'm handing in my keys. I'm done. I cave. By city. Because again, like this entire system is based on lies, corruption, making shit up, high pressure sales, people bullshitting all the time, and I really just kind of want to see all that shit fail. Like, it's annoying to see people that lie about the size of spaces, lie about demands, lie about availability, lie about use cases and all that shit. I would like to see them finally get what they're asking for. Look at this, everything is closed. But that's likely not going to happen, though. It's likely not going to. What probably will happen is that the other businesses will just stay, or the places that are vacant will get eaten up by, I don't know, maybe it'd be like Amazon pickup centers or some shit. It'll be interesting to see what becomes of it. It'll be interesting to see what comes of it. That's crazy. Yeah, so when you look at any of these real estate sites, just expect the prices to stay insane for a long period of time. And also, if you're in New York City, expect to have to do very hard negotiating if you actually are dealing with trying to get a space. Don't ever pay anything even remotely close to sticker price. Do a lot of searching. This is a red both ways. No comprende. As you can see, this is a Sunday night, not even Saturday. Sunday night, you got a lot of people out tonight. You got a lot of people out tonight. One thing I'm kind of curious about is, will the demand for all of these places that stayed open, that didn't go out of business, go up once everybody comes back? So once everybody comes back and they're all going out and getting drunk and eating and doing stupid shit and trolling for hoes and whatever the hell. Like, once everybody's out in the East Village and West Village doing what the East Village and West Village people on Friday and Saturday nights do. That's right, mofo. This is a game of chicken, and I'm going to win. Remember what I said in the last video? It's a game of chicken. This is my one-way street. My one-way street. This is a one-way bike lane. What I want to do is eventually... JP sent me, I think, a 400-watt truck horn. I really should get... I was using it by relay and remote desktop to turn on so that... when there were all the riots happening last year, but I kind of want to do that I want to put that on here so when someone's going down a one-way street, they think a truck is coming towards them. It would be hysterical. That would help me with my game of chicken, because right now all I got to help me with my game of chicken are my crazy eyes. And I like to keep my crazy eyes. Like, I just stare as angrily as humanly possible. And it works. It's how Cory Booker wins elections, and it's how I win games of chicken in the bike lane when someone's going the wrong way towards me. But I'm kind of curious, will the businesses that didn't leave wind up getting this insane influx of business once everything comes back, because there'll be less places to go to? There'll be less bars, less restaurants, less entertainment venues. You know, for all the places that couldn't hack it, couldn't survive it, couldn't figure out how to make it, that went out of business. I'm very curious how that's going to work its way out. Very, very, very curious how that's going to work its way out. I don't know. But something Evictions court hasn't even opened back up yet. One thing I can say for sure is that the amount of rent that I rented the space that I have now for, it's genuinely not worth that anymore. Like my accountant said, aren't you getting all these people coming in from FIT? And it's like, what are you talking about? They were gone for over half a year. Like that's, what are you talking about? Aren't you getting all this business from the surrounding offices? It's like, they're all closed. You have a bunch of kids that are going out and getting wasted at the bars and going to the restaurants to have fun and you know, I don't know, go out trolling and, you know, but they're not, but it's not really a bunch of offices that are open. So all those, you know, the whole concept of like Midtown Manhattan as this business center where there's all these people, that's kind of gone. It's gone in terms of us seeing that walk-in client base. It's really, don't get me wrong, there's still people that show up. It's just not to the point where I could ever justify spending $12.5 to $13K on rent for this space anymore. And that's going to be really awkward when evictions court opens back up. That's going to be very, 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 very awkward. It's different when you sign a deal in other cities, I think, because in other cities you're signing a deal where things are not priced insanely. The only reason, but here everything is priced insanely, and the only thing that makes the insanity worth it is the insanity of the overcrowded piles of cash around you everywhere. When you take that away, the insanity no longer really makes sense. A lot of the people who were supposed to get evicted in January, February, March of last year, they weren't even processing those evictions, and the court wasn't exactly ahead on things back then. So I'm very curious to see how evictions court is going to be now for both residential and commercial. Now that they're going to have to start processing, before they can even start processing evictions from now, they're going to have to start processing shit from like the end of 2019 that never got covered. That's going to be absolutely insane. This is a really cool front of the building here. I don't know, what do you guys think? It's nice. But that's gonna be something. Because you know that there's a lot of places here that are not paying full. Hell, there's not even places that are doing, like, I was paying like 3/4. I was paying half for a while, then 3/4. I know people that were paying shit for the entire year. They were just saying, F you. I think that's a bit unfair. If you have money coming in, that's unfair. Like, if you don't pay the whole thing because the entire fucking city got destroyed, and your lease was an insane ripoff that you were only paying to be able to do business here anyway, and you don't pay the whole thing, like, whatever, but not paying anything, that's kind of unless you were totally shut, that's kind of insane. But yeah, I know people that were open and weren't paying shit all year. And I'm very curious to see how that goes, because there's a lot of that. My God, again, people don't get how commercial real estate court, but also housing court has been backed up in this city notoriously long. You have people that are willing to bribe their tenants to get them to get the fuck out just because they don't want to go through the court system because they know how much money they're going to lose. And the thing is, now evictions for 2021, Like, I'm not kidding when I say with the efficiency of this city, anybody who listen to my phone calls where I'm actually trying to call the city and get a straight answer on anything, I'm like, I've dealt with commercial court here before. I mean, I was supposed to have an appointment in April of last year. They said they'd get back to me in a month or two on how to do it over the phone. That was 13 months ago. I still haven't heard shit. There's a really good chance that evictions from 2021 may not even make it to court until 2025. I'm not memeing there. Like, if the stuff was behind a year to a year and a half before, who God knows what it's going to be like now. God knows what that's going to be like now. It's going to be a horror show. I know what you're saying. Pedestrian in the crosswalk. Lights green for me. Game of chicken, baby. Game of chicken. This is New York. Life is nothing but a game of chicken. That is won by bufangs and crazy people, crazy repair people that ride them. I'm going to try to take different routes. I know I take almost the same route every day, and it kind of bores the shit out of people. So I'm going to try to give you all like a little bit of a different tour of the city. By the way, a lot of the content you may find in the main channel is probably going to be recycled content from this channel. So a lot of it is going to be, like I discuss things here, and then I eventually, the things that I find interesting, I may pick and choose from my main channel. But I'm going to experiment a bit with this live channel, with the split between the two. I think I'm entering the Eli phase of my YouTube career, where I kind of mess with stuff and piss everybody off. But I kind of let this channel just kind of sit on the vine and die for a while. I don't want it to die a passive death. I want it to die an active death. Is this retail space for rent over there? Retail space for rent over here. Damn. Retail space for lease over here. Nothing survives. Nothing survives. Retail space for lease over there. Tofu, tofu, tofu. Popeyes. I have no idea what they're saying, but they don't sound happy with one another. These pedals are in such bad shape on this bike, it's insane. I gotta take time aside to maintain it. This is ice cream. This is a bridge. No headlight, no tail light, motor. It must be an arrow. Okay, that is a tail light. I'm just blind. Yeah, I'm blind. That is a tail light. What the hell? Is this what happens when you turn 30? Jesus Christ. How the hell did I not see that? I'm blind as a bat. That's a cool building to my 10 o'clock over here. The tall one. It looks cool from the outside. I know if I entered it and I went inside one of the rooms, I'd be very claustrophobic, but from the outside, it looks kind of cool. It's kind of like a metaphor for New York in general. From the outside, it looks cool, and then when you get inside of it, it's like, yeah. Hey, da, 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 da. Nice view. That's a nice view, man. That is not the view I have from my apartment window. Every one of those lights represents a person or a family or a worker or a business owner with hopes and dreams, problems, trials, tribulations, solutions. Every one of those lights. On the island in front of me, there's like 2.3 or 2.5 million people. On the island behind me, there's like 1.8 million people. It's amazing when you think about it, because like I get viewers from South Dakota where you got 800,000 people in an area that's larger than most of New York, the entire state, much less the city. If you take the area that I'm pointed to in front of me that I say is over 2.5 million people, and you were to take that and represent it by scale on a map of South Dakota, it would literally show up as a dot. A dot. And it has 4 times the population of South Dakota. That's just crazy. There's so many people there. With their hopes and their dreams. Their problems, their successes. Their drug problems. Their fighting, their shooting. Their solutions, their technological innovations. Their ideas, their scientific breakthroughs. Like, there's so much stuff packed into this teeny tiny place. I remember when I was a teenager thinking this was so incredibly wondrous, and I was so excited. It's like, move to Manhattan or move to an area of Brooklyn like that where there's so much stuff, so many lights. So many people. But there's something about big city living that just never really seemed compatible with me. I don't get something out of there being a bar on every single corner or an office on top of an office on top of an office. It's just kind of like you took the same thing and you just kind of copied and pasted it over and over again like Sim Tower. It starts to lose what made it exciting, what made it unique. Loses the thing that made it cool. Oh, man. I can't tell the Model X and the Model Y Tesla apart when I see them on the street. Unless I see the second screen that's on the X. But I can't tell from just looking at them. I feel like such a noob when it comes to cars. I actually mistook a Ford Mustang for a Ferrari the other day. Like, it's weird because I can tell I can actually tell what number motherboard any Apple device is for the last 15 years without even seeing the number. Just by seeing it from far away, I can tell the tiny clues and tell you the number. When it comes to cars, I really can't tell shit. And I'm kind of starting to notice it a little bit more. But I haven't gotten involved in the Holy War stuff as much. Like the people who think that their dick is bigger because they own a Chevy instead of a Ford or vice versa. Like that kind of stuff. It's very interesting to me because the same thing that seems to happen with devices happens with cars. Where people, there's so much of a person's identity that is a part of the vehicle they drive, or the phone they use, or the laptop they use, or the lifestyle brand they use for their kitchen shit. It's very interesting how people express themselves in that way through their devices. There's an arrow to my right. A smoking arrow. Always smoke the arrows. Arrows were put on this earth to be smoked. The fangs were put on this earth to be lit on fire. Wait, no, that's unit pack power. My fire motor finally succumbed to its injuries the other day. The motor that I had set on fire. I mean, not the battery that got set on fire, the unit pack power one, the motor that bike was attached to that bike. I tested it, and it actually worked. I just recrimped the connectors and, cleaned up a little bit of the wire for obvious reasons. And that motor worked for a good 6, 7 months. Yeah, I mean, it finally kicked the bucket. I took it off, I cleaned up the inside a little bit, make it all nice. Put it back together, it worked for a while. And then I opened it up again to see if I clean everything up, make it nice, it'll work. It just stalls like crazy, and I just don't have the time or the patience to really figure it out right now. But I shouldn't say that. I should more say the inclination rather than the time. I remember when I was a kid and I would ride through here, every one of those lights that's sticking out the window of a building, I would kind of imagine that representing one person's dream. One person's hopes. I know you're not supposed to judge, but I just wasn't expecting a tiny Asian female to be on the bicycle that was blasting 90s hip-hop from a Bluetooth speaker. That was my surprise for the evening. 90s hip-hop. Dun, dun, dun. Yes. Coming soon. The Steps Schoolhouse Early Childhood Education Center. I liked the fact that these buildings had a place where you could sit outside that's not a fire escape. And then I saw the price to live in that building. And then it kind of ruined it for me. Totally ruined it for me. Renter. I will not run over the pizza man because someday I will need his services when I'm off my low-carb diet. But I don't think I'm going to be off the low-carb diet for a while, because anytime I eat a good amount of carbs, I become intensely bloated regardless of exercise. But in spite of that, I still think it makes sense to not run over the pizza man. Just for... Season sponsor, Bloomberg Philanthropy. Thank you, essential workers. I don't think most essential workers want to see thank you on a sign. I think they just want to make more than minimum wage. I don't have a sign on my store that says thank you for coming in. I just don't pay them what you break, I fix pays people. And it's like, that's the thank you. Thank you could actually do something with. Let's fucking. Oh my god. Vroom. You really got to get mirrors on this bike, or fix the one that has mirrors on it so I can go riding on it again. Not having mirrors sucks. I don't even have the 360 cam, so you guys can't even tell me if I'm about to get hit by something. At least before I had the 360 cam, so if I was about to get hit by something, you guys could say, "Lois, look out!" Obviously, you'd be yelling into the past from the future, so it probably wouldn't get here. But you would also be in the future. And at some point in the future, I would imagine that you would have the ability to yell back into the past, given how technology is evolving rapidly nowadays, and you would be able to tell past me that something bad was going to happen, and then I would be able to avoid it. But I don't think that that's ever going to happen, because if it were going to happen, then sometime in the incredibly distant future, someone would have figured out a way to do that, come back here, and done something about it. Which makes me believe that time travel is likely not possible within our universe. Because if it were, someone from the future would have come back here already by now. And it hasn't happened. And if it hasn't happened now, it means it hasn't happened in forever, because the person in the forever future would have had a point at which they would have been able to travel back to the now. It's not like we're waiting for it, because it already happened in the future, which they would have been able to come here from. Which is why I need to get a mirror put on here, because I can't count on you people to tell me what's going on. Okay. People are outside at a little restaurant. They're all going on dates, having fun. I'm happy that they're having fun. I hope they have a good evening for themselves. People need to have a good time. Now more than ever. It's time for relation. Doesn't make any sense. Big Chevy truck. Big Toyota truck. Big truck. Big dick. Or so the saying goes. Ah! Everybody, it's time for me to get out of here. Thank you for riding along. Hope you enjoyed this ride. See you in the next video.